I believe, like, if you want to be something, you just got to do it, and you get there. I mean, it's hard to adjust from hoeing peanuts, loading watermelons, to office work as a clerical. I couldn't believe whenever I got it, and I'm encouraging, you know, to, if people get a chance to go ahead and go out, to go ahead and do it. Like a lot of my friends live out in farms, and their dads are farmers. They think a farmer's a lot of work, good work for you. Of course, maybe it is, but it ain't. Farm work ain't for me.
This steak is off.
What is it? What do you got now? What do you got now? 72?
When you work out here, mostly your own man. You can work and stop and quit when you want. It's like I say, it's a challenge to me.
I called the city council about those signs. I called the city manager who involved about the detour because they put the no left turn and cut down my business a lot. Before already down, but now more down. So they told me to call the highway department. I think I go write a letter to the congressman.
I think you and I have some kind of obligation to commence to change attitudes to see if we can't establish a new kind of national etiquette in America, not just against discrimination, not just for the rather sterile term of tolerance, but really for what America is about, and that's difference, the acceptance of difference. That old melting pot business was always a myth. What America is about is the right to be different.
The kind of thing I've always tried to do is, when I found out what was right, try to do it. I didn't always know what was right, and often not soon enough. But I grew and learned just as a person ought to. The Senate was an awfully good school.
Yeah, I'll call on him.
The average family will spend next year $900 more. Will have to for everything they buy. And most people in this country are already having a hard time paying their bills.
See you later. I guess. No, you were speaking out. I'm going to.
anyway. And serving the legislative body when you're uncompromising is a very tough kind of job, because the essence of that legislative process is compromise. So I think nearly anybody, once you serve it very long, eventually it just sort of adds up. For a while, a few small victories keep you going, but after a while, it's just not enough. You do that, you're a Democrat, or a Republican if you want to vote for their caucus, and do something you like, and let somebody else do it. Frustrating problems here lately is, well, he can, of course. He said you have to be a Democrat. Look a lot better than me. That's the kind of thing. Jim said it's to bring money up here and invest it.
That's right.
And then a woman in
I wouldn't claim him for free.
Robert Kennedy once, in a anti-poverty hearing, committee hearing,
yeah.
Robert liked good cigars. And old Jim Eastland gave him a great big Cuban cigar. And without thinking, at the beginning of this poverty hearing, he smoked the damn thing. He lit it up. The Associated Press photo went out all over the country. And shows him with this damn big cigar. Robert Kennedy says, Kennedy at poverty hearing. And it just looked awful. Nobody remembers. Margaret don't remember.
Chickens and, well, we've got three.
Yeah.
Three little, we have.
Over here now.
You can tell this is
Baby, unless you kind of hurt them.
project.
You'd have to hurt them over here now, baby.
And I said, listen, I know.
They already got situated over there. They might not. Won't come up too good.
And I think some people just stay in one damn place too long. You ought to change every now and then. And we've always been able to do it. We've been lucky in order to be able to make a living doing what we like. That's a lucky thing. And if we could have guessed or hoped 30 years ago what we'd like to be doing right now, it would be exactly what we're doing.
A friend of mine, he across the street over there, he went out because they had him blocked off worse than they did me. Couldn't even get into his place. And it's just been quite a mess. And you'd call up City Hall and they'd just tell you, well, call somebody else. And I've called the City Hall, the mayor's office, I've called everybody. And until I've got a hold of y'all, I could never get nobody to come out much to talk to me, let alone do anything.
Of course we need tax relief, and of course we need to have it as soon as we can get it. And I've advocated from the start of my campaign the adoption of a bill that would cut everybody's tax payments by 10%. And I think this is about the outer limit of what we can realistically do and avoid a dangerous escalation of inflation and a dangerous escalation of deficit spending, something that I'm quite sure Governor Boren has declared time and time again he opposes. but something that will be inevitable under the Republican tax bill, which Governor Boren has adopted as his proposal in this campaign.
Do you know that if we don't change our tax laws at all, if we just let inflation take its course, you're going to have a $100 billion tax increase over the next 5 years? Just because every time you get a cost of living increase to keep up with inflation, you're put in the next higher tax bracket. With a minor Band-Aid, the 10% cut that Mr. Edmonson is talking about, you are not even going to begin to have a tax cut. You will have a tax increase during the next 5 years.
Striking police officers have been out in force at City Hall this morning, with most of their efforts directed at getting other officers to join their walkout. Officers involved in the job action are turning in their badges, and those badges have resulted in their termination. Police Chief Richard Lemunion says that he is firing everyone who is participating in the strike, and he says the action should be no surprise to his officers.
And I still support the officers, and I still think they need to be compensated more. But I have always said, and I continue to say, that strikes by police officers is wrong, and it puts this city in jeopardy and the citizens who reside in it.
All police activity in the city is being drastically cut back due to the strike, but Chief Lemunion says officers will be patrolling the streets. Some of those officers are new at the job. Rookie cops with only 8 days' experience are now on the streets with other officers. Lemunion says he'll be hiring replacements as soon as possible.
Get down, Hooterville!
Who's urging not to dance, but you might be arrested? Oh, I know, don't dance. Hi. Quarter, please. I'm paying for 3. Okay. We urge you not to dance because you may be arrested.
To this turntable because y'all like the loud sounds, correct?
Apparently there was some disagreement over an incident that had happened earlier in a locker, and the one student seems to have been rather upset about some either accusations or some comments, and this morning he apparently approached James and did stab him in the abdomen without any discussion or argument or preceding comment.
Mr. Nigh, with about 25% of the precincts reporting you're close to 30,000 votes ahead, you must feel very happy at this moment.
Oh, I feel tremendous. It's a great lead. I hope we can hold it.
Did you expect to have that much of a lead this early on?
Well, I don't know how many precincts are in, but I predicted all along that we would know by 9 o'clock. 8:30 probably we'd know the trend, and by 9 o'clock we'd have a win or lose. And I don't know how many precincts are in, so I really don't want to say anything until I find that out.
Your organization felt that a low voter turnout today might work against your organization, but or you in particular. That hasn't appeared to be the case. Any reasons why not?
Well, I found this out in the primary. We projected what a big vote would do, what a light vote would do, and everybody predicted different ways, and you just take them like they fall. So I really don't know in our case whether it helped or hurt, but whatever it is, it looks great.
How long will you wait before you declare victory?
Oh, I'll wait quite a while until I see what the lay of the land is. Nothing like a premature judgment. You got to figure out where the counties are, what precincts are in, what counties are in, and so forth. And I just got in from Tulsa, and I really haven't analyzed anything. And just shaking hands with so many friends that have made it all possible that I haven't had time to check the results.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking with Lieutenant Governor George Nigh, who says he's really not sure at this point how it's going to go, but he's feeling pretty good about it. I'm Bruce Creeks. He's now back to News Center 4.
An experience like this really is a very humbling experience, to think that so many fine people across our state have put their faith and their confidence in me as a candidate for the United States Senate. And I want to say that throughout the rest of the campaign, and if I am fortunate enough to go to the United States Senate to represent the people of our state, that I'll do my very best to never let down those people who put their trust and confidence in me.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited about the primary and the runoff. Obviously, I'm excited. I'm equally excited about the general election because I know with your help, we're going to make it triple crown on November.
I support I speak first of all of David Boren's record as governor, a record of broken promises. In 1974, David Boren was elected governor because people thought he was different. He wasn't the, quote, old guard politician, end of quote, but that he was a new, fresh, full of hope and promises. Today, there are many of those who are disappointed because we have discovered that he's not what he said he was. He did not do what he said he'd do. He made promises. He did not keep them.
You know, that experience, you know, it has to mean something, what kind of experience that's been. Most people, at least I feel, traveling the state, and what I've been visiting with, feel that what we need is new blood and new ideas, and certainly we're going to point that out. He's been in public service for over 20 years, and as I say, we'll scrutinize that record, and we'll see what accomplishments have been made during that 20-some-year period of public service.
Rolling, Chris.
I believe you were present, was it not?
This board has of the applicants.
The other requirements that we would
Which has been met in the building or in the process of being met.
Since Mr. Beal's going to be out of town, the requirements of the city ordinance with reference to the condition, they meet the requirements of the ordinance. We don't have any discretionary power to arbitrarily deny.
I think in this, as I say, in this particular case, I'm not sure that any, you know, with any great harm was done to the public. Although he has misrepresented himself,
to the public generally in an election process. Now, if we have the election law, it seems to me it's very important that they be followed so that the public can be assured that the person filing for office is in fact that person, so that to avoid all types of election schemes and frauds.
With any luck at all, there's going to be a waterfall come on here 14 months ago to make this downtown. You all ready?
Oh, well, we started before Proposition 13. I think Proposition 13 awakened the country to the real problem. You know, my family lives out in California. That's very real. When you have to pay more for taxes than you paid for your mortgage, for principal, interest, and insurance while you're buying a house, and that's the situation out there, people are going to revolt, and they did revolt.
Every time the rate of inflation is 10%, the government gets an increase in revenues of 15%. What we're trying to do is slow the increase in the rate of increase in tax revenues. We're not going to take any money away from it. It'll be a question of having the same programs without all the new gimmicks and programs, because the only way you're going to get the attention of the Congress is to make them make some real decisions as to what new they're going to do.
Yeah, we need to move on.
For the first time, we're talking about criminal penalties for those who knowingly abuse Department of Labor regulations and the legislation. And, for example, hire somebody who is not eligible, knowingly and intentionally hires someone who is not eligible. We're talking about an Office of Special Investigations within the Department of Labor, within the Office of the Secretary, to monitor and, again, look for specific examples of criminal violations of the legislation and regulations.
We have the finest faculty for the relatively modest compensation which we're able to supply, and right now we're at the very bottom of the Big Eight in terms of those salaries. We need a greater budget for acquisition in the library. We presently have one that's $750,000 a year. That sounds like a lot. It costs $25 to put one book on the shelf. We need to increase that budget of acquisition in the library. We need to be able to have more distinguished professorships. We need to be able to give some scholarships to students. As Lillian says, that tuition may mean that those excellent academic young people from out of state will find it more and more difficult to come to the University of Oklahoma.
Deserve it, Bill. What year did you get this? In 1962. I tried this was going to be my last All right, Bill. Congratulations.
Down on that Mississippi. All right, Doctor. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Go. Go. 3, 4, 5. Not in. Not in.
The day begins early for Monsignor McCarthy. He begins by having breakfast with the various carnival workers to catch up on the latest attraction or bit of news. That's why they call him Father Mac, the carney priest. He loves the carnival. He put himself through school working at one in New York. And in fact, he loves it so much, he would rather be at a carnival lot than the Vatican. So for the last 20 years, Father McCarthy has made the carnival lot his lot to preach. And the Midway has given him a place to fill a role that no one else can fill.
Main thing is the carnival people are always traveling, and so they don't belong to any particular congregation or parish or church, and yet they have the same needs as anyone else, no matter where they might live. And so, since they cannot come to a church, I bring the church to them. I come equipped. I carry a church right in my suitcase, carry everything with me, and I have all the services that we'd have in a church right here on the Midway.
Father McCarthy shares much in common with the people on the Midway. He too likes to work outdoors and travel from town to town, meeting different people. Father McCarthy is fulfilled with the transient way of life he has chosen for himself. Bella Shaw, News Center 4.
One of the real problems, in my judgment, in Washington is that we have too many people who are more interested in perpetuating themselves in office than they are in keeping in touch with the people, than they are in doing a job for the people. People lose contact if they are away from the citizenry, if they are away from the constituents. I'd like to have David Boren, who has made an issue of this, who claims that he could establish seniority and that I could not. I'd like to have him join me in this. I think that, that it's a very important issue.
Interestingly, our U.S. consumers are not benefiting by this sacrifice that our growers are making, because bread here in this country is higher now when wheat's selling for $3 a bushel than it was back when wheat was selling for $5 a bushel. Now, if anyone can explain that to me, I'd like to know why, but that's the fact. Wheat prices have gone down and bread prices have gone up, so consumers are not being helped by the fact that farmers are losing their shirts.
going to have a negative effect upon the economy by taking money out of circulation for business and consumer items that have to go to increase utility rates. And at the same time, it's going to increase the hardship of people that are having difficulty now in meeting their utility bills, because we are looking, as I said, the largest utility rate increase in the history of Oklahoma.
But basically, it will involve perhaps an increase in the fuel cost adjustment, which occurs on your home natural gas and electricity bill for your residents. The Governor's Advisory Council on Energy met today, and using tax commission data and information from the Oklahoma Corporation Commission and from the Oklahoma Department of Energy, have determined that in our best estimate, that the most the increased cost could be for a typical family of four at their home would be about $2.80 to $4 a month. And this increased cost would come through an increase in their fuel adjustment. If the bill is passed and signed into law by the President, there is no assurity of this at this point in time. So it's premature to even talk about the impact of legislation and taking actions on something that has not even been passed and enacted into law.
$54 and $55.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Amtrak train number 16 now arriving on track 2. We hope you have a pleasant trip, and thank you for using Amtrak.
No competitive sports in elementary. My child competes in the lunch line. He competes for a trophy to sit on his teacher's desk. There's no such thing as not competing. You competed for your job. I competed for my job. 300 people applied for my job when I went to work for Putnam City School. Let's work together. Let's put feet out of the hot seat. Let's all work together. Let's
How many do you think offhand? Effort. William Miller, Chickasha. This tiles and tiles.
Chided by us for not including asphalt in the
Within this set of rules, there's something limiting the number of games. And as we limit the number of games, we have another rule in there that wants to increase the number of players. And goodness only knows, we vote these bond issues and we have the facilities to try to provide for as many students as possible extra activities.
The idea of participation was mentioned, and it was also indicated that it seemed strange that we wanted increased participation and yet we were limiting the games. The idea in increasing participation is to allow everybody who is on a squad, 15 boys and 18 girls, to get a chance to play. Many times those kids are on the squad and yet only 5 or 6 people ever play in any game.
We have in the last 20 months organized mobile donor programs with approximately 300 different donor groups. These groups are various businesses, manufacturing plants, churches, social organizations, civic organizations in the community, and asking them to help us provide the blood supply. These donor groups are people who we have gone to for the first time, have never been approached before, have never been educated as to the fact that blood is needed on a daily basis.
Particular unit, it has an automatic vent for nitrogen. You don't have to worry about, you get a constant supply of oxygen, and there's no... Okay, now you have a way of determining your oxygen content here. Pull out your gauge, then you're able to determine your oxygen level by simply looking at the gauge. Okay. This will give you a constant check on the level of your oxygen. To that gauge, there are also some audible warnings. To 20% or below, there will be a short audible sound, a whistle.
Oh, it was a shock to her. She says that are we going to lose our home? Are we going to have to move? And she was really upset. Well, when you get old and all alone, you know there's problems, and plenty of them.
Without some service, I mean, just so that you won't be worried that they said if they cut off.
That's been back several years ago, and I know.
And also knowing in what manner, merely stating that we have checked out all of these allegations and giving no explanations. Does the local Planned Parenthood affiliate pay dues? The problem here is that the United Way has not been sincere in their attempt to ascertain the facts. They have not tried to find out. Planned Parenthood is saying they do make abortion referrals. The United Way is saying they don't make abortion referrals. We know that they do make abortion referrals because we have talked to expectant mothers who have talked to Planned Parenthood.